could tell by her voice something was wrong. And she said, Jared's dead. And I said, I'm sorry, what?
That's Kim Jensen, the best friend of Shanna Gardner, answering questions after the murder of Shanna's ex-husband, Microsoft executive Jared Bridegan. And Jensen, she doesn't hold back.
Jared was just he was always
And there was more than one interview.
But I mean, social media has gone viral with all of this.
I go through Kim Jensen's interviews and why they matter in this murder case. I'm Angenette Levy, and this is Crime Fix. You know, I have to tell you about this app I've been using. It's called Upside, and I love it because you can get cash back on things you buy every day, things like gas, groceries, and takeout. Here's what you do. You download Upside, you claim an offer at one of their 100,000 plus locations and pay like normal with your card. Then you verify the purchase and boom, you get your money back. So say I need gas or I want takeout one night. I'll search for Upside offers first. After I spend, money appears in my app that I can transfer straight to my bank account. Upside's frequent users earn an average of $254 back a year. That's a lot of money. So to start getting your cash back, click the link in the description or scan the QR code you see on your screen and use our promo code CRIMEFIX to get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. For the first time, we are hearing from one of Shanna Gardner's best friends in the months after Gardner's ex-husband, Jared Bridegan, was shot to death. Kim Jensen is Gardner's bestie, and let me tell you, she doesn't sugarcoat anything when talking to the detectives investigating Jared Bridegan's murder. I'm going to show you some key moments from Jensen's police interviews, the first in May 2022, and the second one happened in February 2023. I'll show those to you in just a little bit, but first I want to just give you a quick recap of the case. Shanna Gardner and her estranged husband, Mario Fernandez-Saldana, were arrested and charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, solicitation to commit a capital felony, and child abuse in the February 2022 shooting death of Jared Bridegan. Shanna and Jared Bridegan were once married, and they had twins, a boy and a girl. The marriage and the divorce were contentious. Custody of the children was a major issue. Both Gardner and Fernandez have pleaded not guilty to the charges. Prosecutors say Gardner and Fernandez-Saldana hired Henry Tenon, a tenant of Fernandez's, to shoot and kill Jared Bridegan. Jared was shot and killed after dropping off his twins. He was driving home with his toddler daughter strapped in a car seat. Police said he got out of his car in Jacksonville Beach to remove a tire from the middle of the road, and that is when he was shot. Tenon had pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, admitting that he was the person who shot Bridegan. He agreed to cooperate with prosecutors and testify against both Gardner and Fernandez-Saldana. Prosecutors produced checks that they said Fernandez had written to Tenon after the murders as evidence of a payoff for the hit. But then, in January 2025, an about-face from Henry Tenon came when he said his testimony was false and he asked for a new lawyer. The judge granted his motion to withdraw his guilty plea in February 2026. So now, Henry Tenon, he's going on trial. The state attorney says Shanna Gardner had a deep hatred for her ex and planned to kill him for years. Recently, prosecutors released text messages that they plan to use at trial in which they claim Gardner's friends talked in code about her desire to see Jared dead. Some of those texts were more direct than that. This text exchange between Shanna and Kim Jensen is from May 2015. Shanna wrote, "I'm just not having a good day." Kim Jensen responded, "Don't write the day off as bad yet. I'm still trying to send stupid to prison." She added, "If I can't make a casserole, prison is the next best option." There are more text messages, some from 2016, where prosecutors say the women spoke in code. On July 17, 2016, Kimmy wrote, "Shanna needs a guy." A woman named Susan Lee responded, "What kind of guy?" Kimmy responded, "The kind that performs permanent disappearing acts on certain people." Kimmy added, "Know any magicians?" Susan Lee responded, "Ah, magician. No, that I do not. For stupid?" she asked. Kimmy responded, "I was thinking Thomas, LOL." Susan Lee responded, "He isn't a magician, but I'll ask if he knows any." Susan added, I'm sure her ex knows a few. Now, we've heard about these text messages and read about them, but now we're actually seeing them. And these texts, remember, are from 2016. Prosecutors believe these show that Shanna Gardner had murder on her mind for many years. On the same day, another set of text messages between Shanna and Kimmy were released. Shanna wrote, I'm at church. I'm fabulous, with a straight face emoji, my favorite place on earth. Kimmy responded, deep breaths. It's going to be okay. I'll talk to you as soon as you get out. Just breathe. You'll work out all of that frustration at the gym later. And then part of the text is blacked out as a redaction citing an active criminal investigation. Kimmy then typed, he hates him. Kimmy added, if not, I know Sue's husband knows people, LOL. Shanna responded, just when I think doing this whole 1 week off/on thing is a good idea, it gives me such great pleasure imagining slitting his throat. Prosecutors are planning to show these texts to the jury to show that Shanna really wanted Jared out of the way for a very, very long time. A little less than 3 months after Jared Bridegan was shot to death, detectives brought in Kim Jensen for a little chat.
Hello, how you doing?
Morning.
I'm Detective Johns, Detective Lamont, my partner, okay? Have me sit right there. Give you the comfy couch.
Oh, thanks.
How's your day going?
Pretty good.
So, I'm sure you know this is about Jared and what happened to him.
Yeah.
Someone had said that you knew Jared even before Shanna, is that correct or no?
Oh, I've known Jared and his family since he was like 12 or 13 years old.
Okay.
Whenever they moved to Jacksonville from wherever they moved. We were never close, but
Yeah.
I've known him since he was a kid. I knew the girls that he dated when he was a teenager. I knew, you know what I mean? Like, I've known that family for probably 20 years.
Okay. Do you go to the same church as them? You're
Yeah.
in the same ward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about Jared and his family, from what you can remember. Anything stand out?
We were never friends. I knew his mother. I was friendly. I'm one of those people that I'm just, what you see is what you get.
Uh-huh.
I'm real. If I don't like you, I won't be friends with you,
Yeah.
but I will be kind. You know what I mean? Like, I'll say good morning and keep on walking down the hall of the church, whatever.
Of course.
So I knew his family from a distance. I did attend a baby shower or two that maybe his mom hosted at their home.
So Kim Jensen, who Shanna Gardner calls Kimmy, didn't know Jared well, she says, but she's very, very friendly with Shanna.
Jared was he was kind of quiet as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
He never had a lot of friends. The girls he dated in the church, two things that I remember always: never dated a girl that wasn't loaded with money, and never didn't end the relationship that everyone talked about what a jerk he was.
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy that broke the girls' hearts. He was, you know, he puts on, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He would be nice at first, and then the real Jared would come out.
Okay.
When then I met Shanna, I knew about Shanna when he married her, because his mom was so excited because she was, you know, from this rich family, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, their life was going to be so great and blah blah blah. And then she had twins, and ended up having pulmonary hypertension,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to move to Florida. So I met Shanna about maybe 8.5 years ago.
Okay.
And I have twins. So, and she actually was one of my teenage daughter's teachers in the youth program.
Okay.
And so she and I got to be friends while she was still married to Jared, because number one, I knew his family. Number two, I felt sorry for her that she married him. Number three, she taught my kid,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of had that common bond with the twin thing. So
Gotcha.
that's how she and I became friends.
Okay.
And then as time went on, probably within a year of them moving here, like, she and I became better and better friends. And now, you know, I probably talk to Shanna 5-6 times a week, maybe every day.
Okay, so you say you guys are really good friends.
We're really good friends.
Yeah.
We're really good friends. I was one of the few people who stood beside her when they got divorced. When the divorce happened, like, I knew that she was going to tell him, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I knew he was going to flip out, just because of the personality that I had always
Right.
remembered or whatever. he went around and he accused her of having an affair to everyone. And the way it worked was, at the very beginning, the kids would be with her from, for 2 days, and then they kept them at the home, and then for 3 days she'd have them, and then it kind of went back and forth on a 2-3 kind of thing. And the days that she did not have the children, she oftentimes spent the night at my house, and he was around telling her, oh, she's off, she didn't come home last night, she's sleeping with it, and she was on my couch. She didn't sleep with anybody. So it was not hard for me to stand by her, because I knew where she was, because she was with me most of the time. We kind of like adopted her and the kids, and so that's how she and I became better friends than we were, and why we are good friends today.
And so, you're friends with Shanna. You kind of see what's going on with Jared and her. What, in your opinion, what was kind of the cause of their divorce?
So he was I used to go over to the house, and he was very antisocial. He didn't, if I went over, so I could walk. We both lived in Ponte Vedra. It was a long walk, but I could walk from my house to hers in about half an hour. So sometimes, I'm going to go for a walk in the evening. I'd go over there, hang out, maybe I'd walk back, maybe she'd drive me home, whatever. I'd walk in, and he would instantly go to his bedroom.
Okay.
Anytime I was there during the day, he had zero engagement or involvement. He pretty much stayed in his bedroom. He was on his laptop. He never worked the entire time they were married. I always thought he was lazy. He's very much like his father. I know that when they were going through the divorce, his mother tried to be my friend, which I found funny, because you're just fishing. You just want me to give you something that will help him, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? It was so obvious. We've never been friends in, 16 years, and now all of a sudden you want to be my friend. That's just kind of weird. It was like, oh, how's Shanna? You don't care. Do you know what I mean? So I was very surface level. Oh, she's fine. She's doing fine.
What did you see that kind of happened, since you were so close to it, after their divorce? How was Shanna? What was her demeanor? And...
So Shanna, after the divorce, Shanna struggled hard emotionally. She struggled hard emotionally. She had 3 jobs. He continued to not work. I think their divorce was final, in July, maybe? It was 7 years ago, but I think it was July was the month that it was final. And she had 3 jobs. He had a job. Actually, I take that back. He got a job once she filed for divorce.
Gotcha.
And then as soon as the divorce proceedings were going and child support came up, he emailed his boss, because the lawyer was able to get HR records, emailed his boss and said he was no longer able to work because of his personal situation. However, he did continue to work, and they paid him under the table, because he was bitter that her family had money, and he didn't think he should have to pay child support when her family was rich.
Gotcha.
But they were his kids, not her family's kids. So, you know what I mean? That,
Yeah.
That whole, you know what I mean? You're a dad. That's your job. You know what I mean? You pay for the kids. She worked 3 jobs. She was exhausted. She put the kids in a daycare.
Jensen described a tense and dysfunctional relationship between Gardner and Bridegan.
In November, she was so grateful because he emailed or texted her. He refused to speak to her ever. There was zero verbal communication between the two of them, probably in the whole time that they were divorced. He left. He was leaving the state. He was going to Utah. Said he'd taken a job or something, but really he was on the prowl for another girl. And so he was gonna, the deal was, if she would sign a change in parenting agreement and she would agree to let him see the kids every other weekend, he was gonna fly back and see them. But then he's gonna FaceTime the kids every single day. And he would tell them, Dad's coming into town, I'm gonna bring you so many presents, and then, he didn't come.
Right.
He would, I'm busy at work, you know what I mean? So it was like he would build the kids up and try to get them so excited to see him, and then I think he ended up coming maybe like 5 or 6 times.
Okay.
So during that time when he was gone, life was much better, other than the FaceTimes were just disruptive to the, I mean, they were 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
it's kind of young to be FaceTiming. Yeah.
every day was
yeah.
just, FaceTime's great. I think you need to see your kids, but every day was just much, you know, and so anyway, so her attorney filed something. We found out where he was working, and I think his mom blurted it out in church one day, and I was like, I found out where he works. And so her attorney emailed and found out that he was out there and he was working, and he was making like $90,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And here she is working 3 jobs. He's paying for nothing. You know, she told him the kids were in preschool, you know, and he was like, oh, you know, I'm barely making anything. I just, you know, if I'm going to be able to afford to fly there, I'm not going to be able to afford to pay whatever, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So like he sent $0 and he's out there living large, and come to find out, so she starts prying around, her attorney starts prying around, they're going to file something for child support and quit, like that, quit his job. Quit his job and was going to move back to Florida, and came back with a new girl in tow. And then life became hell again.
Kim Jensen goes on to explain how life became more difficult when Jared moved back to Florida.
But because they had filed this thing with the court that only gave him the right to see the kids every other weekend,
Mm-hmm.
he thought he was going to come back and instantly it would go back to mine for 2 days, yours for 3, you know what I mean? And then you got that kind of thing. And so it turned into this big kerfuffle of, she was withholding the children, he was going to have her arrested for kidnapping, he wanted to see them when he wanted to see them, and she was like, sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she was following what was currently filed with the court, you know, and I realize that has gotten spun in a different way all through the news, but I mean, that's what happened. That's the truth.
No, I understand. He thought he was going to come back and it was just going to go back to
yeah. I'm back in town, you know what I mean, and I'm still not paying for anything, and you know what I mean, and I'm going to, you know, not that paying for anything had anything to do with seeing your kids, but the current thing filed with the court said you get them every other weekend.
Yes.
You know, you get them from like Saturday morning to Sunday night. That's what the thing said, or maybe it was Friday. You know, I think it was Saturday morning because he would get in late on Friday when he did come. So, you know, but I mean, there was never a custody battle. I mean, that was determined at the divorce. It was 50-50. You know, the only thing that ever changed with custody was they realized that as the kids got older, I think by the time they were 4, the 2-day, 3-day, the kids never knew, even at school, am I going home with mom? Am I going home with dad? Like, it got too hard on them doing too many switches too soon. And so they themselves decided to try week on, week off.
Right.
With a date night on Wednesday in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And they put that in practice for a few months to just try it out. And the kids were happier, they were happier. That midweek breakup gave, you know, the other parent to see them, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then but that was just between them. And so he would try to hold her hostage over that. It was like, okay, well, I have something coming up, and if you don't agree to make this timeshare switch or this week switch, the kids won't be available on date night. And so he always tried to use the kids to get what he wanted from her.
It's like a leveraging tool, kind of.
Yeah, like he used them like pawns.
Yeah.
And so I said, take him back to court and make it permanent. It's working. We can work with it. If the judge signs it, then he can't hold date night hostage.
Throughout these interviews, Kim Jensen, she doesn't hold back at all. She's honest about how she feels about Jared and Shanna. She calls it how she sees it.
Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think he was trying to control her and like had all these rules about the FaceTime and all that?
Because he's a narcissist. His mother, she'll tell you, he's just like his father. He's very controlling. He's a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
They went to therapy. They went to a church therapist, which always makes me laugh because go to a church therapist, you can give a Sunday school answer, and they'll say,
Yeah.
check, you pass. You know what I mean? Like, go to a real therapist, it's going to make you do the work. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm never a fan of church therapists, whatever that actually means. But they went to one, and she saw it straight away, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely a narcissist.
Yeah.
He always had to be in control. He had to be in control of the story. I'm the victim. She cheated on me. No one else would leave me for any other reason because I'm so, you know what I mean? Like, it's, you know. And I mean, I get it. As his family, they ran with that. It's easier to say, oh, you know, my son's wife cheated on him. You know what I mean? Than, you know, my son's his wife left. You know what I mean? Like, what sounds better? You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
Of course.
I get it.
Yeah.
Then the detectives want to know Kim Jensen's thoughts on Shanna's estranged husband, Mario Fernandez-Saldana.
Well, I think she met him at the gym. I think it was CrossFit, maybe. She met him there. And my thought was, you don't need to be with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go fix what he broke. You don't need to date anybody. Let's figure out you. Let's learn how to just be happy with you and not be dependent on anyone else. Just, you know what I mean? That was always my advice. I didn't want her dating anyone. I certainly didn't want her marrying anyone.
Yeah.
I said, you know, I mean, I didn't know him per se.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I met him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He certainly is. He doesn't. Jared might be an ass, but if you just saw him, you might even think he was a nice guy.
Gotcha.
You see Mario and he doesn't, it's not same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then, you know, don't judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? Like,
Gotcha.
I've seen how much Mario has, like, he adored those kids.
Mm-hmm.
He filled voids that Jared was creating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, those kids wanted you to sit on the floor and build Legos and, you know what I mean? They wanted that kind of dad. And Jared wasn't that guy. They wanted cuddles.
Mm-hmm.
Jared was always, I'm so hot. He was so hot. He always had to sleep with a box fan. It was the weirdest thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like Mario, you know, he's small. Like that was my biggest thing with Shanna. I was like, you never marry a dude that's shorter than you. That's just, you don't do that. You know? She's like, my sister said the same thing. You know what I mean? It was like, you know what I mean? So I mean, my, you know, should you not was not because I thought he was bad. It was, it's just not, it broke all my rules. But I wasn't marrying him, so it didn't really matter what I thought. You know what I mean?
Right. Did you find it odd that they got married so quick?
I did. But I understood why they got married so quick because even though I tried so hard to talk to her and give her strength about how he can't control you unless you let him, she always was in fear that, you know, if I live with him, then, you know, he'll try to take me to court and, you know what I mean, and say, you know, she's being a bad example for the kids, and you know what I mean, like, she never wanted to give up more custody than she had and that she was entitled to.
Gotcha.
And there was always that fear.
Jensen said the twins absolutely loved Mario and that seemed to endear him to Shanna. Jensen then told the detectives that Jared Bridegan did things to try to turn the twins against Shanna.
Part of it was Jared wanted them to hate Shanna as much as he did. To me, I don't care who you are, and I've got siblings who are divorced and have kids and whatever. My number one rule is, I'm going to love you the best I can at my house, and Dad's going to love you the best the way he can at his house. And how I feel about your dad should never be relayed to you if you're the kid.
100% agree.
That's my job, is to protect you.
Yeah.
I'm just supposed to love you. And Shanna always did that. It could have been the day from hell with emails back and forth and this, that, and the other, and they would say something about him, and her response was always very simple. It was, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Or, you know, I'm sorry that Dad made you sad. Or she never said, you know, it was never, I understand. You know what I mean? Like, she never engaged in that, ever.
Gotcha.
Whereas the kids themselves, because I spent a lot of time with the kids. I love the kids. And they would, you know, would say, I get in trouble if I say anything about my mom at my dad's house. my dad hates my mom. That makes me very sad.
Yeah.
The discussion then turned to Mario Fernandez's relationship with other women who were not Shanna when they were married.
I'm trying to think how to word this. Did Mario's fondness for women bother Shanna at all, you think? Or
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and he had some people living there and some other things, and
Yeah, but it wasn't like they were women that he was with.
Mhm.
He just has friends. Like, he has all these friends from, like, his army days, or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And she was just like, oh, this one is a hairdresser, and I told her she could stay here, and Shannon was like, okay. And then it was, well, she's gonna pay part of the rent or part of the mortgage or whatever, you know what I mean? And then 2 weeks later, her boyfriend is living there too, and then and I told Shannon, I'm like, this is your house.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
like, and so that didn't last very long at all. It was just more annoying. He's married, but he still kind of lives like a single guy. You know what I mean? Like, he never understood what marriage meant. Like, to me, if I'm gonna move someone in the house and I do that without my husband, we're gonna have an issue.
Now, it's 50 minutes into this chat before detectives even bring up Jared's murder, but they do get there.
So what did you think when you first heard about Jared, getting killed?
Well, Shanna called me on Thursday morning after it happened, and I could tell by her voice something was wrong, and she said, Jared's dead. And I said, I'm sorry, what did you just say? And she said, did you hear about that shooting last night in Jack's Beach? And I said, no. And she said, it was him. It was him. And I said, what? Like, I couldn't process it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't, I was shocked. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and she just, and then she told me that what had happened, and that Kirsten was coming over and they were going to tell the kids together. And I didn't have the time to put into the conversation because it was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was leaving for the airport to go bury my mother-in-law. And so, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just, and I was like, and then I was torn between, you know what I mean? It's like, I had to go do that, but I knew she probably needed, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
so, and then as people started finding out, they were texting me, and I just so happened to have Wi-Fi on the plane, whatever
Mm-hmm.
flight we were on. I don't remember, American or Delta, one of them, but, and so it was like, oh my gosh, have you heard? You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, and you know what I mean? And they're just like, oh my gosh, that's the craziest thing, and you know what I mean? And so, I mean, it was just more of a shock than anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it was, I can remember saying, I'm sorry, what? I must have said it 3 times. Like, are you kidding me? Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just thought it was like I was in, like, Bizarro World or something. It was like, I just couldn't, I mean, and then, of course the days just started unfolding, and you know what I mean? And then, so then I started following the story from the plane, and you know what I mean? That kind of a thing. And it was just so hard to wrap my head around.
Right.
That it happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind, prosecutors have said that Kim Jensen had spoken in code about Shanna needing a guy back in 2016, a magician, to make someone disappear.
So just knowing Jared, knowing Shanna, knowing the whole family, knowing you probably have a better insight into their marriage and everything. Just into Jared, really. You saw his personality, whatever. I don't want to lead you, but in your brain, and your conscience, your soul, what do you think happened to him?
Well, it was always about money with him.
Mm-hmm.
Always. And he was a Freemason, he and his dad. And to me, that's just some shady crap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. If you know what I mean, like, that's some shady crap. And I figured it was a money thing. You know what I mean? That was my first gut was, who'd you piss off?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Who did you money? You know what I mean? Some deal went bad was what my first thought was. Whether or not it was the Freemason thing, I don't know. You know what I mean? But I do know he was into that. And when I say into it, because like I know a lot of people who are members of that.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of research on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's weird.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those secret society things. You're not allowed to tell your wife anything. You know what I mean? Like anything where you are asked to keep secrets from the one person that you're supposed to be able to tell everything to is sketchy to me.
Yeah.
You know? But because I know of his love for money and that's what drove him, my head automatically went. I figured as the story unfolded, I figured there was two scenarios. Either it was a business deal gone bad, or maybe some like random gang initiation, or you know what I mean, like some weird thing like that.
And Kim Jensen, Shanna Gardner's best friend, said that Shanna was always the villain in the Bridegan family's eyes.
Anyone who knows the real Shanna, not the story that you've been spun off by the Bridigans, that you know she's a whore and she'll sleep with anybody. You know what I mean? Like if you know Shanna, her kids, that's all she ever wanted was kids.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if you ask her if she regrets marrying Jared, she'll tell you no, because she wouldn't have her kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, and for all the things he did to her, you know what I mean? That's not your typical answer for someone who's spinning out about, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
How can I get rid of him? Do you know what I mean? Like, it was always, every decision she made through her marriage and her divorce was always, how will this affect my kids? That was always her first question.
So, I mean, you've seen all the comments, you see what the people are saying. No, totally impossible, or
That Shanna had anything to do with this?
Shanna or Mario.
I don't see it. I spent a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've been with on Shanna's side for 8.5 years. There's nothing that happened in the marriage or the divorce that I have not been privy to. And, you know, Mario...
Because there was no love lost between Mario and Jared. He said on the couch and said that.
Oh, no, he did. He hated
him.
He hated what he did to him, or to her. He hated how he treated the kids. You know what I mean? Because the story you're seeing in the news is not what the story that the kids were reporting.
Of course.
However, I also, and I always tell Shanna this, when you take your notes from little children who are trying to please you at your house and him at his house, you know, there's no telling what they were saying over there either.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like, again, with the survival skills.
I know how that goes.
Yeah, you got a set of survival skills per house, depending on where you are, is what you say and what you don't say. And you know that you learn that at a very young age. You learn that. Mario likes his, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I mean, he's got a cushy life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mario is selfish. I don't think he would sacrifice that for something like this.
Yeah.
Do I think he cried tears when he found out? No. I didn't ask, but...
I did, and he said no.
The detectives suspect that Shanna and Kim Jensen, they could be coordinating their stories.
Did she tell you before she was coming in here and talk to us?
No.
Did she call you? So she didn't call you and talk to you before she came in and talked to us?
I don't think so. But I don't remember.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Here, I'm telling you, I'm the memory bank and I don't remember. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even remember what day it was or anything.
It was, the 28th was the day before, and March 1st was the day she came in and talked to us.
She may have told me that she was coming.
Mm-hmm.
She may have told me that she was coming. In fact, I think she did tell me that she was coming and that they were coming in together.
Mm-hmm. So
But she didn't know if you guys were gonna talk to them together or separate them.
Mm-hmm. So nothing memorable.
Several months would pass, nearly 9 to be exact, and Kim Jensen would return to the interview room. The detective walks in and the conversation begins.
But I mean, social media has like gone viral with all of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, I don't know.
It's definitely got a lot of attention.
It's gotten a lot of attention, and it's hard because it's one-sided attention.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, this interview happened right after the arrest of Henry Tenen.
Just out of curiosity, have you ever known Jared to have any kind of association with Henry Tenen, who was arrested?
I never saw him till.
That was the first time you ever saw him?
Never saw him. Never didn't know nothing about him. He didn't even look like he knew him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he looked very confused to me.
Yeah.
Like the next day or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
he just looked like he didn't look like he was on the same planet. He just looked very confused to me.
Yeah. Did Shanna or Mario ever talk about him? I know he was a tenant for Mario's for quite a while.
No, not me. Mario didn't talk about much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
he didn't even, he was very, even through their whole marriage, like, his friends were his friends, and he didn't join the two.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Jensen said Shanna really hadn't talked about Henry Tenen. She said their conversations had been pretty limited since Shanna moved to Washington State with the twins. Another detective walks into the room, and they discuss Kim's theories about how Jared might be connected to Henry Tenen.
I was just talking to her about some theories as to why Mario's tenant would be involved with Jared.
Okay.
And what was it that you said?
I said, all I know about this guy is that what I saw in the press conference, so I don't really have any theories. The only thing I can tell you is that people made the comment, once Shanna's sister said once, Jared was always involved in something shady, because he always wanted that get rich quick. He always wanted, it was money. Everything with Jared has, from what I know, everything was always about money.
Really, at the end of the day, we're just trying to connect all the dots, and there's really no reason for Tenen to have any kind of dealings with Jared, and so that's what's kind of throwing everybody off a little bit, I think. You know what I mean?
Well, my assumption was that you guys probably had a list of everyone that had the truck that may or may not be involved. I never ever heard if it was confirmed, or all I've seen is Kirsten stuff. Find the truck, find the truck, find the truck. I just assumed when he got popped for whatever he got popped for, what was it, speeding and pot or something? When he got arrested in August or whatever, that he was on the list, and then you find out he's Mario's tenant, and I figured those were how dots were connected. I really don't have any theories about Jared and this black guy. Like, I have no idea.
This next exchange could be viewed as pretty interesting if you look back at the text and believe that they mean what prosecutors claim.
Has anybody been talking about it or anything? Has there been any kind of rumor mill or anything like that involving it?
The only rumor mill that I've heard is this guy doesn't even look like he knows what the heck's going on.
Who all saying that? Just out of curiosity. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but
Oh, just like, girls at church, they're like, just.
so they're skeptical that he has anything.
They're skeptical that he has anything to do with it.
Well, I mean,
maybe he does. I don't know. I'm sure you know more than I do. But I'm just saying, from the outside looking in, he looks very confused about the whole thing.
Well, I guess if they're skeptical, why, and what alternative theory would they have? Just if we're just gonna
Well, I mean,
rabbit holes, like.
The guy's never done anything violent, from what. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
his rap sheet, I guess, or whatever's been published, I mean, it doesn't look like he's ever done anything violent. From my logical mind, if you're going to pick someone to help you do something, that wouldn't be my first choice. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? He doesn't have this air of confidence like, oh, I'll be your partner in crime, whoever his crime was with.
That's an interesting choice of words if you're going to pick somebody. Do you think that somebody picked somebody, or do you think this is...
Oh, no, I'm just
else?
like,
Yeah.
Just if I'm analyzing this, you know what I mean? Like, if this actually was, a hit on him, I don't know. I just think.
You'd pick somebody better than...
there would just be a little more thought would have gone into it. Not that I think like that, because I've never put a hit out on anybody.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm the girl that made curfew. Every time.
What has Shanna mentioned Henry and his connection at all?
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
Huh. Is she just as confused about the whole thing, or?
Yeah, well, like I said, on the Monday before, they're, and they're like, oh, you want to comment on breaking the case? And she's like, what are you, she didn't even know what they were talking about. She had no freaking idea what they were talking about.
So when she found out, was she as equally as confused, or?
Yeah, she's like, she has no idea what's happening.
Okay.
Prosecutors have also said that Shanna and Jared disagreed about raising their children in the Mormon church. That came up in the discussion with Kim Jensen.
Jared was expecting an argument about the baptism and everything like that, and wouldn't wait for more, get baptized later. What's the typical age for a baptism?
Typical age is 8.
Mm-hmm.
Both parents have to agree. He never even asked. Like,
oh, really?
At 8, the topic, because we were waiting, never came up. And then, but in typical Jared fashion, everything with him is manipulation. And so her little Sunday school teacher, it's called primary, her little primary teacher was like, this is what telling Shanna, telling me, do you know you're the only one in class that's not baptized? She was 10.
Really?
And so Shanna assumed that, and this is, like I said, it's just our assumption, put pressure on the kid from the teacher, not the dad, and then we can ignite this thing and then see if, we can get mom to agree or whatever. So, but yeah, for 2 years he said nothing.
Later, the conversation turns to Mario.
Do you think that it's possible that Mario had Tenen do this? Is it even a possibility?
I don't see what the benefit would be. And Mario's a very selfish person. Mario doesn't do much that doesn't benefit him.
I gotcha.
I just don't see where the benefit would be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's from everything with Mario has a benefit. So why did he marry Shanna? Was it the financial? He never told me that, but that was a benefit. Do you know what I mean? Like, right. I don't. He just seems like that. Like he's.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't see the benefit, and I've spun out about it. You know what I mean? Like I've thought it through in my head, and I'm like, what does he gain? What does he gain by doing this? Because all it has done is blown up Shanna's life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, she would much rather be squabbling between emails than what she's dealing with. There's no benefit to this.
Yeah. I agree, and I have run it through my head as well. What have you come up with other than that? Like, I know you said you were running it through your head.
Well, I mean, I just try to think of things, you know what I mean? Like I told you, like I just try to look at all the pieces that are out there, and I don't listen to her noise because she unnerves me. And she, this whole thing with her has just been, Shanna did it, you know what I mean? She's been saying that since what, a month after? It's all been, you know what I mean? How with the acrimonious and this and that. You only know what he told you. Do you know what I mean? Like, anyway, I can't figure out the Henry guy. That one, like, that was not what I was expecting. Well, I mean, when I saw him, like, yeah, I mean, you kind of look like a criminal, but like, he just didn't look smart enough to pull this off to me. You know what I mean? If this was not some rando, which it appears that it wasn't random to some degree with the pieces that are out there, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. In my head, I don't know what I expected it to be, but I didn't expect it to be that.
That one line from Kim really piqued the detective's interest.
It's just interesting. You said it doesn't appear to be random, and then we have these logical connections that are being made. So just, what is your heart telling you?
I don't know. I mean, in my logical mind, I think if Mario did this, you'd have called one of your military sniper buddies and it'd have been quick, easy, and nobody would have known the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks militaristically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? So, like, this guy that I saw, like, that's just, you know what I mean? Like, to me, it's almost like a really bad optic coincidence, because I just don't see.
What is your heart telling you?
What is my heart telling
Yeah.
me? My heart's telling me that I know that with the news and the media and everything that, you know, it looks like, you know, there's got to be a connection because Mario's tenant, but at the same time, I don't see what it benefited him.
Mm-hmm.
And even from what I know, like, of him as a person, which is not near what I know of Shanna, you know what I mean? He was always just, like, in the background. Like, we were acquaintances. Shanna and I were best friends.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like if he was responsible for this, he would have chosen differently. I didn't. That guy did not exude a lot of confidence in me that this was Mario's plan.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact I still can't come up with the benefit.
Mm-hmm.
How does this benefit Mario?
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's where my head goes. Is
Well, we still don't understand the benefit of marrying Shanna. You know.
I mean, I do think he liked her.
Yeah.
And I do think he even grew. I mean, I think he loved her. I mean, I heard him say, you know, love you, babe. You know what I mean? That was, you know what I mean? But, like, he just, I don't know. There's some guys you think, oh, you know, you'd be a great husband. You're the marrying kind. And then there's other ones you think, you'd be better single.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you don't have to follow the rules. You'd be better single. You know what I mean? And when you got a wandering zipper, to me, you should be better single.
I think that's the best way I've ever heard that.
Yeah. That's,
I've never heard
hold
that
on.
before.
Give me one moment.
Again, Shanna Gardner and Mario Fernandez-Saldana have pleaded not guilty. Fernandez is expected back in court later this week. His attorney is asking that he be released on bail. They're arguing that after Henry Tenon withdrew his guilty plea, the circumstances of his case have changed dramatically. We'll keep you posted on what happens. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.